OXFAM International will continue its cooperation with government international organizations and the private sector to combat violence against women in Laos. According to OXFAM representative, the work is not only on the morality of the issue, but also about changing behavior. Not only should violence against women not be tolerated, but women should be respected.
และเนื่องจากกระแสของสังคมที่ถือผู้ชายเป็นหัวหน้าครอบครัวผู้ชายบางคนจึงใช้อำนาจเหนือลูกเมียคือดังครอบครัวของพรและสี
OXFAM International will continue its cooperation with government, international organizations, and the private sector to combat violence against women in Laos.
Okay, the issue of violence is very rooted in global culture, unfortunately. So it's not just an issue to do with Laos, of course, but also it is a trend, unfortunately, worldwide, and it has been historically so. Violence is often seen as physical violence, so beating your wife or your children could be seen as specific violence against women, because we often don't think of violence in the broader terms of what this can be. We try to work with our partners such as GDA, the Gender Development Association, ADWLE, but also the Lao Women's Union, the National Assembly, to make sure that when we talk about violence, we look at it in the broadest sense possible. Physical violence, of course, abuse, but we can also think of the wage gap, for example. So the different wages that men and women earn. So this is also, unfortunately, a global trend.
Speaking to our LNTV English language news team, active citizenship and gender justice program management Antonino Faibene said, "Gender-based violence is a key issue globally, and it is something that we work on with our partners, both at the community and governmental levels."
So we try to work on that with the Lao Federation of Trade Unions. It's something that we're trying to do. We work with MPAs on violence itself, and we are very active in the elimination of Violence Against Women's Day, for example, so that gives us and our partners a lot of visibility. We work in communities all around the country, in quite a few provinces nationwide, on the relationships between men and women in families, but also in communities, and between communities and local authorities.
According to him, although there has been some progress in terms of political empowerment and participation by women at the grassroots and community levels, this is only around 2%, despite many efforts made by the Lao Women's Union and organizations such as OXFAM. Unfortunately, the issue of violence is very rooted in global culture, so it's not just an issue in Laos, but it is unfortunately a trend worldwide.
Increased awareness on CEDAW and other legal frameworks, including the ones that are adopted in the Lao legislation. In Bokeo, we work with MHP and Kankid, two organizations working with minorities and the majority, using, I would say, women economic empowerment to increase women economic participation and also equality at community level. And these have worked very well.
Antonino Faibene said, adding that OXFAM tries to work with its partners such as the Gender Development Association, or GDA, the Lao Women's Union, and the National Assembly. Women generally earn quite a bit less than men. OXFAM has tried to work on this issue through the Lao Federation of Trade Unions and communities all around the country, in quite a few provinces nationwide, on not only the relationships between men and women in families, but also in communities and between communities and local authorities.
But it is actually the way in which we think change can happen, and it's by showing and proving that violence against women is a violence against everyone, and that working on the political participation, on increasing the respect that there is for women, young girls, on giving them an opportunity to participate, really gives the country a better chance for sustainable development.
Don't you ever hit hit me in front of her again.
Since the opening up of civil society, OXFAM has increasingly supported organizations that promote citizen participation in decisions that affect their lives. Gender-based violence against women and girls, or VAWG, is a pervasive human rights violation and public health concern.
As men, we have a duty to stand up against violence against women. This is not just a matter of it's a woman's problem, because often men are the woman's problem. So it is really important that men and women work together. To end violence against women, men need to stand up. So it's not difficult, but we've also seen in certain communities a very, very quick change. So it's difficult, but it's also possible. And it's possible in our generation. We don't need to wait for many, many years to see this happen.
Globally, 1 in 3 women have experienced physical and/or sexual violence, mostly by an intimate partner. In the Asia-Pacific region, up to 2/3 of women in some countries have experienced violence in their lifetime. Acknowledging the enormous toll gender-based violence takes on countries and societies, many governments are increasing their commitment to promote gender equality, prevent gender-based violence against women and girls, and support survivors of violence.
Globally, 1 in 3 women suffer sexual or physical abuse.
อยู่สปป.ลาวมีผู้ชายบางคนคิดว่าการใช้ความรุนแรงต่อแม่หญิงและเด็กหญิงแม่นสิ่งที่รับได้
ผู้ชายในสปป.ลาวเชื่อว่าการตีเมียหรือคู่ครองเป็นสิ่งที่มีเหตุผล
It's not.
เจ้าบ่สามารถ
ความรุนแรงต่อแม่หญิงแม่นแพร่ขยายไปทั่วโลก
It destroys lives, fractures communities.
This commitment is reflected as well via key targets under the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, that seeks to fulfill the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, whose central pledge is to leave no one behind. The SDGs at heart are about building more caring, equal, and democratic societies.